Okay. Okay. So, it looks like we're good now. We seem to be back in business with everything. So, alright. Greetings, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream, depending on what format this is in when you're watching it. As you can see from up yonder there, we're doing chapters 16 to 20 of Lydia Kang's Opium and Absinthe. We're gonna finish it for next week, but for right now, we're doing those 5. So there's a lot going on, and yeah, let's get into it. After, you know, letting peeps know that we're actually back and whatnot. So, there's that. Okay. Wait a sec. Yeah, don't need that. Okay. Anyway. Also, if I'm talking kind of weird, I've got a canker sore situation happening, like, right there. So, there's that. Not the best of situations, admittedly, with that one. Anyway, so, we've got, in this section, the main characters we're interacting with are Tilly herself, Dorothy, Hazel, Tom, Ian, and oh yeah, and James and John. I realize that that's, you know, kind of the big names that have been present for the rest of the book at this point, but that's what we're working with at the moment. Okay. So, that being said, we've got Victorian ideas on hygiene and social issues and all the rest of it. But also, there's kind of a running theme of, is this a sign of an unreliable narrator, or is this a sign of gaslighting, or some combination of the two, or any number of other things, really. So, in this particular, in this particular chapter, we're seeing further issues. Hey, honeycomb. In this particular section, we're seeing further issues with James. John being weird, and Tom showing himself to be a rather deplorable example of humanity. All compared to Ian, who is seen by Tilly's family and much of wider society as being like an or what was it? The unsavory sort, because he's poor, versus all the people that they're trying to foist Tilly off on to marry, and or just be generally associated with, because they're from good families, or they have such nice whatevers, and yet are assaulting people and stalking people and just being really creepy. And yeah, don't know how that's gonna be approached as we're continuing, but we'll see on that one. You're being far too kind to Tom. I mean, yeah, I mean, the dude forced an overdose, pretty much. Like, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Because we'll get more to it in a bit, but if Tilly had also, like, admittedly, well, I do study the plants and things, I don't have like personal familiarity with most opiates. But she's taking morphine now. When she went to say hi to Tom, he filled the syringe, basically. So she's got that in her system and was kind of chilling, which is its own thing. And then Tom filled it up again and dosed her with that. So likely, I would not be surprised if in chapter 21 she's got like overdose type symptoms. But then again, not too sure on how much would be a how much it would take to reach that level, especially if you're using opiates as much as she seems to be doing. I don't know. Or if that would even have any influence on it. Yeah. She's lucky to be alive. Yeah, exactly. And yeah. So she's got what sounds like 2 full syringes, so I don't know what size syringes they're using. But if it's something that you can administer one-handed, presumably, then I would say it's probably about like yay big, maybe. But 2 full syringes of morphine in her system. And then Tom's over here trying to assault her, and would have done if John didn't bust in. Which, again, one of very few times that James, being a controlling ass that's stalking her, is, some kind of, like, thing. But apparently that was just, like, Hazel showed up at the house and said, yeah, so Tilly already went home, and then John happened to be there and was sent to go find her, so, like, and then both Tom and John are trying to get her to drink absinthe. So it's A, combining psychoactives, and B, John, what are you doing? Like, seriously? Seriously, what are you doing? Like, did I... Yeah. And just, I realize, right, that John is a, watchman sort of guy. Not really a medical professional sort of dude there, okay? And from what I remember, because alcohol is a suppressant, it was used as a calming mechanism at certain points. it has been used. It is used as a calming mechanism at certain points in history. But when the response to someone having a I don't know if it would be termed a panic attack or what, but when the response to your severely drugged up charge, having a panic reaction to being assaulted or to having an attempted assault perpetuated towards them is to give them alcohol, because, and I quote, "You can't breathe. Here, drink this." John, I have questions. A lot of them. I mean, they were there before, but like now it's like, what are you doing? On top of which, right? Tilly asks him, "Why do you have absinthe with you?" And his only response is, "You don't want to know. Drink it and you'll feel better. It would be best if I didn't return you to your mother in absolute hysterics." Like, and then she doesn't want to drink it, and he busts out the commanding, like, implication of, like, drink this or I will make you drink it. What? What are you doing, dude? Like, seriously, what are you doing? I think 1 grain morphine is equivalent to 1,000 milligrams. 1 grain is what the doctor prescribed. Described as about 1/10 the syringe. They also didn't have small syringes then. It's a big sucker. Yeah, alcohol on top of morphine is a terrible idea. Do not do that. Yeah, do not do this at home. Yeah, so if... Yeah, because I know for shows and stuff, I've seen Victorian syringes that are about, yay big, down to about like that. So if one dose is 1/10 of a syringe, we'll say, and there's times that she's doubled up on a dose or tripled up on a dose because she just wants to forget everything. And had a certain response to it. And then Tom's over here and just fills up the syringe. Or, like, he filled it to a certain point where she says, "Yeah, so, like, I want some morphine too." So he fills it up more and hands it to her. What? Like, I want to say that the absolutely deplorable behavior of the other guys in the story aren't there solely to make Ian look like a better option. But, like, because John, James, and Tom are all exhibiting rather negative traits, and those are, like, the main male counterparts in the story, aside from Ian, who's just there doing his thing, and the worst thing that he did was publish an article. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Because so far, the only guys that aren't complete assholes are the doctor guy who runs the medical museum, Ian, and, like, Ian's random, like, family friends. And then you've got John, who, like, finds Tilly walking home, bullies her into getting into a carriage with him, and then just, like, sticks a ring on her finger with not so much as, you know, any kind of consent, and just like, no, just think about it. Just think about it. Like, it's fine. Just think about it. Like, I have drugs for you. I have drugs. I have drugs for you. Here, have some drugs. Yes. You want these, right? Yeah, this. Have some drugs, and, like, there you go. No, don't take the ring off. No, just think about it. It's fine. Like, sir. What? Yeah, like, James. James seems like he might be, like, a potential option at some point with, like, again, compared to Tom and all of his asinine whatevers, like, James isn't that bad, but he went from not acknowledging that Tilly existed to trying to get her to marry him in the span of, like, 2 weeks. And in order to further that aim, like, right, so, you like typewriters, right? How about I get you a typewriter? Yeah, there you go. Here. Woo. And, yes, observe me being, I'm just, like, whacking things on the wall. Observe me being, a supportive individual because, you know, things and stuff. it's not at all because I'm trying to get you to, hang out with me more in a one-on-one capacity, you know. But you should just ignore that Ian exists because he's a bad sort. So don't hang out with him anymore. But I'm nice. Yeah, I'm perfectly nice. I'm such a gentleman. Like. Hmm. It's like he seems like the type, right? Who could potentially become a decent human and not as much of an ass as he currently is at a later point. Just for character development, if nothing else, I would like to see that as a progression because having a book where the majority of the male cast, or the female cast really, a majority of a particular group of people be complete morons and general, like, insufferable jerk faces is annoying to me. So, like, for that, if nothing else, I would like it to be remedied as a situation. You know? But, ugh, dude. Come on. Anyway, so let me get back to where I was. Alright. Also, just in the realm of I found quotes and they're kind of hilarious, do you people not know how your friends operate? We've got a lovely quote from Dorothy. You want to go to the library and not the ladies' mile? Have you lost your senses? Like, Dorothy, have you ever met your friend? Like, really? Hmm. Because presumably, you're well aware that when she goes to parties, she finds the library and just kind of chills in there for, an extended period of time. Why would she want to go dress shopping when there's a library and research to be done? Like, just saying. Just saying here, Also, right, with the whole since I'm shifting around everywhere. Oy. Also, with the whole Tom situation, right? I still find it hilarious that I read it as dirty noodles instead of dirty needles. Like, anyway, with the whole Tom situation, he reuses needles, and I realized that at the time, there weren't, like, that was a thing. Needles were reused at a certain point, but were potentially sterilized. They were cleaned. I don't I don't know how good of a cleaning that is, but there you go. Also, yeah, no idea really why she's friends with Dorothy, honestly. Because, I don't know. Like, from page 1, it seemed like Dorothy was looking down on her for being herself, so I don't know why that's a thing, really. Aside from Dorothy's I don't know, acceptable friend because she's of a certain family or something. But you've got Tom over here who's using dirty needles to inject himself and or other people, depending on the scene. And then he's the one making commentary about how unhygienic his dad is because dude doesn't take baths. Now, in the ongoing saga of is this an unreliable narrator situation or something else, is Tom trying to spin something about his dad so that his dad isn't taken seriously? Is that just a thing in the house where they're, a family of medical types and no one thinks that hygiene is a thing that's, needed, in which case, why? Why? Y'all know germs exist, okay? Come on. Really? Ew. You're being gross. Or like, is it something else altogether? Is Tom just, being weird or whatever? Which I wouldn't put it past him at this point. Yeah. So, there's that. Yeah. Also, in the realm of Ian's a good dude versus the rest of the male cast, really. Tom Tom drugs Tilly more than she already was, without her consent at all. I seem to have an insect bite on my foot. Okay, moving on. But Tom drugs her and tries to do things. So, she's incapacitated. James sees that she's trying to get home and kind of, I don't know if it would be termed blackmail, but has that vibe, really. But it kind of makes her get into the carriage that he's got, because, well, it would be a shame if they found out that, like, you were out right now, all unaccompanied and things, and also I have drugs for you. And just likes her when she's all incapacitated and docile and whatever. And John, at this point, has a history of being a bit sus, kind of creepy, you know? And when she's, really drugged up and kind of half dead at this point, forces her to drink alcohol and become more incapacitated. So you've got all of that juxtaposed against a scene where Tilly and Ian are dancing sort of on the roof. And Ian seems to be really uncomfortable with it because she's drunk and like visibly affected by something, and he knows that she's been taking laudanum. Doesn't know that she's been taking morphine, far as I know. But knows that she's incapacitated, is really uncomfortable with that as a thing. So, like, yeah. So, like, we should, we should sit down for a bit, yeah, because, all of this. So, again, the one person out of the bunch who, is being a decent human is Ian. At which point, again, I really hope that it's not just being used as a plot device to make Ian look like a decent human because he's being compared to the other guys in the cast. Like, because I know that's a thing that's done sometimes in stories where the rest of everybody is completely deplorable, so, like, the one that's, actually decent, well, yes, we root for that guy. Like, no. But yeah. But yeah, with that same sort of thing, right? We've got a quote from page 236 that's Ian seemed to always be judging her for her need for the opiates, but James never did. Like, yeah, that's because Ian's seen what it can do to a person and knows that Tilly deserves better and doesn't want to see her deal with it. Versus James that just wants her to be compliant and docile. Like, ow. I know to a certain degree, right? Just as a thing, as a thing. I know to a certain degree when you're in the middle of a certain headspace, whether it's addiction or something else. Not that I know personally, but like for like a reaction, I guess. If you're the person who's going through whatever and there's a thing that you need or feel that you need or really want or whatever, and there's people who say, no, that's bad, don't do that, and there's people who say, like, oh yeah, no, that's cool, yeah, that's fine, you're more likely to acknowledge the you're more likely to acknowledge and go along with the people who are supporting whatever that decision is. And those who are saying, like, hold up, hold up over here. Like, Exhibit A of why this is a bad idea. So I get that. But also, like, Tilly, engage your scientist brain right now, thanks. Okay? Yeah, maybe do that. I cause and effect. Uh, hypotheses. Like, do even if you're doing it on yourself, like maybe do an experiment on like things with the stuff and see what happens with the stuff, you know? I on top of which, going off how her family's responded to anything so far, um, I would not be surprised if in the next chapter or two we get a scene where her mom and or grandmother blame her outright for what happened because, well, she's the one who went to go visit Tom unaccompanied. Yeah. It can be a very sneaky way to win an election. Make sure all the other candidates are so deplorable you look super reasonable by comparison. Exactly. Well, the opiates and hormones all make you stupid. But drugs, wee! Yeah. Honestly. There you are. Okay. A short water break. After ranting about people being morons. Oh, God. But seriously, like, getting back to James and his, way with words, shall we say. We've got, a quote here. Tilly, promise me you'll stop saying that street boy, that newsie. He's below you. You cannot trust him. He's already publicly taken advantage of your family for his own benefit. Just promise me you won't. And you can keep this, the ring. You can keep this forever. Like, sir. What? And then she goes from, like, what now? You just stuck a thing on my hand. With not even, like, half of a question about anything. Like, not so much as a buy or leave, just like, oh, look, there's a shiny. Okay. Alright, we're doing this now. Alright. And on the same page, the only response that Tilly has so far is, wait, but, like, Lucy was your fiance and, like, she died less than a month ago. Huh. But, like, the ring was shiny and it looked like the diamonds were tiny glistening beacons. What? And less than a paragraph later, it's like, not even a paragraph, like a sentence later, she curled her bejeweled hand into a fist and held it to her breast. James, I need time to think. Of course. And I want... Yes, anything, dearest. I'll give it to you. I would like to visit the pathological cabinet at the medical school downtown. And a typewriter. I mean, you got in to do the research thing and you have a, tool to type with now, but, like... Tilly, sweetie, no. Just no. The pink sparkles are brittle and powerful. Yeah, exactly. What? What is happening? God. And then, just furthering that Tilly's grandmother is a piece of work. Sees the ring that got stuck on her hand and says, finally you'll do something right in this family, unlike your disaster of a sister. Which, the potential, like, odd subplot of maybe her sister was, from a different relationship, shall we say, is an interesting thing. Make a promise in writing to send you to Miss Remington's school. Bargain hard, Tilly. Exactly. Like, I mean, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna do the whole, like, bargaining negotiation thing, just go all in, Might as well. Um, and yeah, just reinforcing that Dorothy is not that great a friend, right? Uh, there's, oh yeah, there it is. She looks at the obviously new typewriter that's, just kind of chilling on the table. And only response is, "What's that monstrosity doing here?" Like, how very modern of you that you are doing the writing on the typewriter. Yes, yes. Do write me a letter so I can see. It'll be like reading a book. Like, what? If you're gonna sell yourself, don't do it cheap. Exactly. Like, have that in mind when you're going into the relationship and, like, get as much out of it as you possibly can. If that's cool with all parties, then, fine, whatever. But, eh. But yeah, Dorothy wants to marry her cousin. She very much, yes, yes. Indeed. Ha. Dorothy wants to marry her cousin, and Tilly is somehow blinded by sparkles. I don't. Ay, ay, ay. And then, when asked about Dorothy, right? Like, Tilly point blank says, "Hey, yeah, James, Dorothy wants to marry you." And his only response is, "Yes, but she's not you. She's not a Pembroke." Like, I mean, we all kind of knew that that's why he was going after her at the start of this. But, like, dude just comes out and says it. Just there. And there's a few points in here that she kind of takes a step back from whatever he's saying and, like, oh, okay, yeah, we've made some headway. All right, this is awesome. Okay, and then we'll continue down here, and there's gonna be some kind of breakthrough, and it tanks. Okay, then, all right, we're back to square one. Sisyphus with the freaking rock again. Like, it's like, oh well, she's not a Pembroke. Tilly's back prickled. She felt like a brand of best-selling bromide on the shelf. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh well, you're the brand name one. You're the brand name one, the special, super shiny, expensive one. That's the one that I want, not like the went over there that, I'm technically related to, which that right there, totally legit reason to not want to, have a romantic involvement with someone. Because, she's your cousin. Totally get that. But when the reason for your potential romantic involvement is the family name, and that's kind of it. Can we not with that, maybe? Maybe. Unless, again, all parties involved are completely chill with that being the status quo of the relationship. I don't know. Morphine makes sparkles extra shiny. Exactly. Exactly. Like, which I realize, right? There's times that when I'm like really tired or like kind of dissociated or whatever, I'll look at something and it's completely hilarious regardless of what it is. Or like it's kind of holographic, so I'm just sitting there looking at the shinies because it's shiny and ooh, shiny. Like, I get it. But like, also, I'm not out here trying to make, big life choices when that's happening. you know? It's just, there's certain times. And I haven't had anything that's an opiate since I was like, I don't know. How old would I have been? It was a really bad cough. I might have been like 22. I was somewhere between 16 and 22. I can't remember. But I had a really bad cough and had cough syrup with codeine in it. And really not a great situation with the, no. Do not want to repeat that ever again. But, like, if I've had some alcohol or if, I'm sleep deprived or whatever, everything is, like, hilarious or, like, very contemplative or emotional or whatever. Like that, when you're in an altered headspace, that is not a good decision-making modality, shall we say. Right? Alright, we once knew someone who complained to us about his girlfriend all the time, so we finally asked him to tell us what he loved about her. He couldn't come up with anything. And we were like, so please explain why you're together. They got married a year later. Oh my god. Like, seriously? Seriously? Why? Like, why are people like this? I don't get it. Like, even if it's a bad reason, like, if whatever the positive is not good, at least have something that you're considering a positive about the other person if you're in a relationship with them. Or if you're, like, prospectively going to maybe be in a relationship with them. It's better for everyone involved if it's an actually good thing, so that, all parties involved are, decent people who, would presumably be decent people to each other and within the relationship and stuff. But if the entire relationship is comprised of arguing and not like a fun, bickery sort of like whatever dynamic, because there's people that's totally how regular communication works for them, and they're cool with it. All right, you do you. But like when it's arguing, complaining, and just like not happy all the time. Why? Is this what you're doing to yourself? You know? Like, I can see if you're in a time period or a region or something where you can't get out of something and it's like prearranged, or you have an option of like 2 or 3 people and all of them are like kind of janky, so you pick the one that's like the least annoying that you can kind of sort of hold a conversation with sometimes, and you just deal by come on now. And even after, like, all through this, she keeps getting distracted by the shiny ring. And then goes back to, but like, is James as innocent with Lucy's murder as he says that he is? I don't know. But like, he's cute though. And like, there's shinies, and he gave me a typewriter and like brought me over to the medical cabinet place so like I could talk to the doctor guy. But like, did he kill my sister? I don't know. But like, he's giving me drugs though, and there's shinies, and there's like, but my sister? So I don't know. I'm conflicted. Like, Tilly? Tilly. What are you doing? Ah. Our wise elder friend summed it up thusly. He's sick. But yeah, very much agree. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Ah. No. I will say, Dr. Big seems like a pretty cool dude, once he got past the female here, yes, she thinks that there's vampires. Well, we need to deal with this because, she's here at the behest of James, so. Oh, wait, so, like, she actually does science things? She's not here just like, because there's vampires in the stories. No, she's like actually has a brain. She's actually asking questions about stuff, and like we're we can have a conversation. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. She's not so bad anymore. Okay. I mean, it took you a bit, dude, but you got there. All right. Like, seriously. There are legends and there is truth. Okay, then show me the truth so that I can be soothed by what is real and what is not. So, I have all of the information. Like, yeah, really. Which I'm not surprised that our expectations are that low based on based on the other information that we have to work with and what I know of Victorian high society and all that. But, so irritating. Also, just dramatic reading time, you see. Yes. Uh, in reference to John and Ada's association, in which there are baked goods and relations in the garden, shall we say. Sometimes both, but never simultaneously, which would be a carnal catastrophe of crumbs, now that she considered it. Carnal catastrophe of crumbs! It sounded like an excellent title to something that Tilly would, that's not right. Oh, okay. So, she might read erotica at some point, but, writing it, not so great on that one. Just, okay. I gotcha. Also, I'm starting to think that Tilly's grandmother had her dad killed. So, yeah. Yeah. Between the idea that her mom might have been pregnant with Lucy when she married her dad, and that even though no one else in the family is blonde, her sister was, so might be a thing. Followed with her grandmother's ominous statement of, "You do as you're told, and you'll never suffer." Like, you want to run that by me again? Maybe? Hmm? Hmm? What? Oh, she totally was. Exactly. Yeah. Like, at which point, if we know that that's a thing, and we know that the matriarch of the family uh, is rather manipulative, how is that going to play out for the rest of the story? Because, I don't know. Don't know. And now we get to the chapter of how does it open? The danger chapter, if you will. Because we've got the whole hypothesis that her mom was pregnant when she got married. And marrying for love is a dangerous proposition. All of that, and her grandma being weird and stuff. Going to visit Tom because she was in the area and wanted to say hi / get some more drugs. But mostly like, hey, I haven't seen you for a bit. We're kind of sort of on friendly terms. Yeah, hello, how you doing? Because, you're stuck at home all the time. And then we get passages like, oh yeah, like, I take certain amounts of the morphine when, I want to feel normal and certain. Oh. Okay, one sec. Gonna cut the mic while I'm doing my news. Grandma was probably like, you will owe me forever for not throwing you out on the street. Exactly. And if that's the situation, then the golden, shining pinnacle of beauty in society that was Lucy is a illegitimate child, technically, sort of, but not really because, they were married. But because that union would have brought shame upon the family, having her dead alleviates the situation, which, would explain why her grandma doesn't seem to care to investigate a murder. Which is suspect on a good day, but is it just that she's using something that's pre-existing to her own advantage, or would she have had a hand in the death herself? Probably not on that one, but I also wouldn't really put it past her. At least in some extraneous outside fashion. So I don't know on that one. But yeah. So Tom's taking a certain amount of morphine to feel normal and a certain amount to deal with pain, And then we have a certain larger amount to celebrate. Because, it's weird like that. And also addicted to morphine. So she's got the full syringe and injects it and stuff, and what was it? There was no question there was always a bad feeling too, like taking a bite of a poisoned cake that was so delectable you didn't mind if it killed you in the process. Okay, now I'm coming at it from an allergy thing, not not an opiate thing, admittedly, right here. There is no cake that tastes good enough that you won't care if it kills you in the process, alright? Like, I don't care what kind of stupid frosting or ingredients or whatever got stuck in there, regardless of what it's made out of, or who made it, or whatever else. If you know it's bad for you, if you know it's gonna kill you, if it's poison, it's not worth it at all. Ever. If your reaction to whatever it is low enough that you can take a couple of bites and be fine, and that's not a problem for you, okay, fair. You can have your, little taste of whatever. But no. No, no, no. No. Like, and I realize that I have a different response to certain allergens because of how it attacks everything. Versus if it's just a digestive thing, you might be able to rationalize a little bit of a stomach upset or a digestive situation for something that tastes good. But if it's complete physical and mental debilitation that you're going in for, if you, agree to eat this thing, again, it's not worth it. You know? You know? Ah! Grandma's totally capable of cold-blooded murder, but the vampire angle would be too weird for her. Also, the absinthe would be counter to her temperance principles. Exactly. Like, from that, if she's involved, right? Because at this point, I would not be surprised at all if she had something to do with the death of Tilly's dad. At all. Especially because from what I remember, it was pretty fast. So to me, and especially because we know from looking at the description that there's a potential like poison sort of angle going along with everything. But I don't know, like we don't know if that's the opiates or if that's something else. But we know that there's, something happening. And from the description of her dad was fine, gave her a dictionary for her birthday, and a week later he was dead from seemingly natural causes. I would not be surprised at all if it was a poisoning. Um, in Lucy's case, especially because there's other victims too, if she's involved, I'd say it was more like, something like taking a hit out on someone, maybe, but not having control over the way that it's done. But, I don't know. We'll see. Sounds like Dad was Chinese and involved in the opium trade. We're guessing he was given an OD or otherwise taken out. That could be it. Yeah. Yeah. That could be it. We shall see. But yeah, it's one of those that it's been brought up enough times that it at least should come back and be tied to the rest of the plot. And the rest of the plot seems like it's heavily tied to the opium trade. So, again, would totally make sense if that had something to do with it. How far are we right now? We're at... Okay, the start of 21 is 73%. So... What was the breakdown? Depending on what the breakdown is it like 70 to 75 is the start of the third act usually? So that tells me that from this point, it's like the third act conclusion, sort of ramping up and finalizing the plot, I guess. So, we'll see what happens. That. Nope, come on. One sec. Okay, there we go. Well, it depends. I've been watching some AuthorTube videos, and in some of them, when they're going through like ways to edit and ways to like make sure that things are happening at a certain point, or it's paced in a way that people want to read it, whatever. There's kind of a bell curve thing that you can break up, and like the main, it depends on the, what is it? It depends on the genre. I think the age of the characters and stuff, and what kind of a format you're wanting to do. But when I've seen it broken down, it's been like 25% is kind of the opening, setting up stuff, and by the point that it's like 25-ish% that you want, like, by that point you want the main impetus, like the reason that everything's happening to have taken off. The middle section is like the activity of the story, and then the last like 70 to, or the last quarter-ish is like the conclusion or whatever. So I don't know. It depends. Sometimes it's weird, but yeah. Some people get very technical like that with editing, go through get exactly. It's one of those that's like, it's cool to have as a background thing in the back of your head, just as a, right, this is about halfway through the story. I should probably have brought these other plot points in by this point. Okay, yeah. But, like, which for some reason reminds us that we DNF lore. I do not recall lore. Who do you think did it? We're leaning towards Tom, assisted in covering up by his father. I mean, yeah. The puncture marks and the blood is the bit that, I don't know. Like, that's the thing though, right? Because his father at least appears to be someone with a very little actual, care for patients. And is generally, verbally at least abusive to his wife, and probably the housekeeper lady. Tom's mom seems to be a pretty mild-mannered individual who, around her husband, is really meek and kind of flighty. And seems to want to do whatever possible to help Tom. And is cool with Tilly going back to say hi to him and hang out with him by herself. The doctor, his dad, seems to be very against anyone going back and seeing him or having Tom be around people in general. And is insisting that Tom read medical books. So, I'm leaning towards Tom being the actual culprit, and one or both of his parents working to cover it up. But again, the puncture marks and the lack of any kind of blood. What? Alright. Lured by Amanda Bracken has been very popular on Bookstagram, mostly white, Medusa-like cover. Yeah, that one. Okay. Okay, still listening to Dragon Song. Have trouble getting through the misogyny and whining at the beginning. Yeah. It. Ow. Ow, ow. It's. One, I didn't have so much of a problem with. Maybe his mom's covering it up, but dad knows he's not to be trusted. Yeah, that's. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm getting. And then it seems like. I mean, his dad might be kind of shady, but it seems like he's trying to keep people away from his son. So I don't know. But yeah. For the Harper Hall stuff, right? Like, it. Book 1 didn't bug me as much. But I don't know if that's because it's the one that I remember the most or not. Book 2, though. Like, I remember about half of book 2 and none of book 3, honestly, except for, like, I don't know, 2 lines in the whole thing. And for book 2, there's a character who has some kind of mental and it sounds like physical disability. And is constantly not treated that great. So that was a fun read. But yeah, the ableism was strong in that one. And I realized for that it was written in the 70s. So perceptions of things have changed, but Yeah. Assume Diaz down. So yeah, that's what I was getting. But yeah. But yeah. It's like there's certain phrases or certain ways of describing things in the Good Omens book that kind of have an issue with, but in the adaptation it's changed and there's like rather a lot of diversity in there. So from that, it's one of those odd situations that I actually kind of like the adaptation more. I don't know that it would be a good option for you guys though. Just a thing. I talked about it a little bit in the video review that I'm working on for the series and stuff. But in the book, in the adaptation, regardless of which one it is, because one of the main characters is a demon, you get instances with characters being on fire or in fires, so make of that what you will. Past that, though, it's a good show. So, stuff. Anyway, there is that. Yeah. Watched it on the small screen, lots of fire. Yes, very headspace dependent. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you know. I will say that there are certain parts that are left out of the series that are in the book that are interesting choices. Like, it works, but it's interesting. And they rearranged a few things, so it's a little bit more, dynamic for the screen, which, again, makes sense. But, interesting stuff. Anyway, there is that. So it sounds like we're gonna be getting into this guy in a couple of weeks. So there's that. Not sure exactly how we're gonna be breaking it down, but where we go? Okay. But it's 264 pages. Some of them are, illustrated. So we'll see on that. And then, unless something happens between now and then, next week is going to be the rest of the Opium and Absinthe book on Monday. Yes, you have influenced at least one audiobook sale. Woohoo! Yay! Yeah, so if anyone's watching this back later, whether it's here or somewhere else, my first instance of a publisher reaching out and saying, "Hey, so do you want to copy this book? Because, like, it sounds like something that you might be into, so You want it? Do you want to review it? You want to do a thing? So, I should, actually read it in a shortish manner because I've had it for a couple weeks now. So, yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, it's based on, well, it's written by the guy who runs the largest botany or ethnobotany podcast called In Defense of Plants. Same name. And it's kind of based on the info that he's gotten and researched over the years, from what I understand. So, looking forward to that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it breaks down. Looks like there's 8 chapters. So, yeah. Oh, it's narrated by him? Okay, cool. I mean, if he's doing the podcast, I'm not surprised. But that's cool. Yeah. So, if that's a thing that would be of interest, we've got In Defense of Plants by Matt Candias from Mango Publishing. So, yeah. Stream devolves into reading book. Like, and now we're just it's power read time, so like, yeah, you can do your thing. Just, have fun in the chat. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just be here looking at woodcuts and stuff. Ooh, that's cool. Actually, yeah, look at the lino cut with that. That is cool. I like it. Wait, is that the same one? I totally did not anticipate that being a thing, but it is. Okay, so we've got, where is it? There's that, and that is the same. It's the same print. So yeah, there's photographs. Some of them are pretty blurry, admittedly. There's some lino cuts. There's some just like pen and ink drawings in here. So yeah. Okay, it looks like the chapter breaks. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks like the chapter break is all the title art. But I don't know what kind of orchid that is, but it's the title orchid up there. So yeah. Anyway. That is there. I still have a whole stack of books over here that I need to get through. That I want to get through for, number of reasons. But like, there's this over here, and there's this over here, and there's like. But yeah. Still only halfway through Dorian Gray, which I've realized that I'm having a hard time getting through it because I know roundabout what the ending is, and I have to be in a particular headspace to read through like, stories with LGBT characters where they're not happy at the end. And haven't really been there for a bit. So, there we go. But, yeah. There is that. Thank you much for hanging out and being generally awesome and stuff. And yeah. Okay. Let's see. Is there anybody who's on right now? Whereas we're just like, cut muffins! Yeah, it. Like, I have to be in a very particular headspace to read certain things, and apparently, like, Dorian Gray ticks, like, a lot of the boxes for the, well, we'll come back to you later sort of vibe. Alright. So, do we want to do a raid or nah? I don't know. There's Potchfed. That's about it. Anyway, yeah. Because I'm good with just ending stream as is right now. Yeah. So, thank you much for hanging out and being generally awesome and participating in the discussion times that have been had and whatnots and things. Go enjoy the triumphant sleeps and whatnots, friends. And yeah, we'll see you in a couple days, if not sooner. So yeah, have a fabulous rest of your evening or day or whatever time it is for you. I will see you all later. Bye now. Computer, stop moving. There you go. Bye. And I want to do hugs. Computer, let me do hugs. There we go. Have a good night, friends.